Hello, David Violet here with note-taking for consecutive interpreting. During the practice this morning, there was a question, which was what to do when you are giving feedback to your colleague during a practice session when the output, the delivery, the speech of the interpreter you are evaluating is agrammatical. Now, obviously, this is going to happen more in a B language, a language that is not our mother tongue, but it could also happen in a mother tongue. The answer, to me, basically has to do with this fact that when we really know what we want to say, we will find a way to say it fairly clearly. So when we don't find a way to say something clearly, it's linked to a lack of clarity in what we want to say. So poor form, such a bad word choice, bad grammar, or any aspect of language or anything related to the delivery is generally a sign that the message is not clear in the speaker's mind. So that's the sort of diagnosis I would give for someone who is giving an interpretation, and in that interpretation, the speech is not grammatical. Why is the message not clear? Our goal is to capture everything and to deliver everything in a clear and accurate, faithful manner, and a pleasant and fast manner as well. So my advice this morning was you need to make sure that your understanding is solid and strong of what was said. And that is basically a matter of listening. And when we are taking notes, usually the problem is that our note-taking gets in the way of our actual listening. And that's something that you overcome through hundreds of hours, some say thousands of hours of practice. When you get proficient, you can take notes and listen with absolute focus all the way through, and that's our goal. One of the techniques that relates to note-taking itself that should help in the delivery phase, because it may also be at the delivery phase, at the reading of the notes, that we have a problem. And this is what I told them this morning, is that we need to be on top of the note reading the same way we would be on top of our navigation along a road, whether we're walking or driving. We need to be looking ahead. We need to be glancing at the notes, remembering what that was about in detail, use the notes to gather the details in our mind, have it all clear, and then start saying it. And as we are saying it, we are going to start glancing at the next piece. We don't want to be staring at, let's say it's a list of 5 countries. We don't want to look at France and say France, and then look at the UK and say the UK, and down the list like that. We want to look at the list, gather all the countries in our mind, get them ready to say, start saying them as we look farther down in our notes and get ready for the next piece. It's a little bit like a pianist or a musician, or a race car driver, or pretty much everything we do in life. We need to be looking ahead. And one of the techniques that I talked about this morning about how to make sure we are looking ahead relates to the actual page turning. Let's see if I can hold this so that you can see it. If I am going down the page, and I should be able to see this while I'm saying something higher up. And then before I say what is at the bottom, I look at it, I remember, I get, in this example, the 4 countries in my mind, and then I start saying them, France, the UK, etc. In the meantime, I've turned the page in this manner so that I can still see, if I need to, the bottom of the page that I'm talking about right now, but I can also start scanning ahead. This is really a very important technique, not only because it will help you at the end of each page, but also it will remind you that you need to develop this ability to be scanning ahead. That it means looking at something, remembering it, gathering it in your mind very clearly, launching into the expression of it in the target language, while at the same time your eyes are looking at the next piece. So that's pretty much what I had to say about that. The message is garbled if in its expression, if it's a little bit garbled in our mind. And secondly, one way to basically through our practice, many hundreds of hours practicing, we gain the ability to never suspend listening, even though we are taking notes to support us when it comes time to remembering. And we need to listen in a very engaged way. We need to be able to feel like we are catching everything that the people listening to the source language are catching, all the humor, the contradictions, the emotions, the surprises, everything that everybody else sees. We should be taking that in, even though we are taking notes at the same time. So if we've listened in that way, and we've used analysis, that's the word we generally use to mean we've really thought about what's happening here, why this is being said, what might be said next, how what is being said relates to what was said before, whether or not it relates in a logical way or not. Of course, we will never show our opinion or our surprise, but we will be having these reactions, or let ourselves have these reactions inside, because that is what is going to enable us to express them when it's time for us to express them. And then there is this issue of always looking well ahead in the notes, scanning ahead of what you're actually saying. And the page turning technique I showed you is handy not only when it comes to turning the page and seeing what's on the next page, so that there is no pause that you have there. Because if you wait until the end, let's take a look at this again. If you say what you have here, and only then you flip, there's going to be a pause, necessarily. And that there should be no pause. A pause tends to emphasize what was just said. Now, the pause I introduced was perhaps not all that meaningful. Let's put it another way. I am very upset about what has just happened. Pause. It emphasizes a point. You, as the interpreter, do not want to emphasize something simply because you're turning a page. You need to overcome that through the technique that I just showed of how to turn the page. So these are the points I wanted to make today about understanding the whole thing, looking well ahead in your notes, and using this page turning technique to never have not looked ahead in our notes, not have an artificial pause, and as a reminder that we should be looking ahead in our notes even when it's not time to turn the page. So I will hope you found this useful, and I will see you next time.